Tigers. I'm from the county.
I'm from the county.
Ain't talking about jail.
Ain't talking about jail.
Money get counted.
Money get counted.
Like I'm paying the bill.
Like I'm paying the bill.
Straight out of Harris.
Straight out of Harris.
Straight out of Harris County. Ain't talking about Houston.
Ain't talking about Houston.
I'm in Georgia with dogs and Tigers. I'm from the county.
I'm from the county.
What's going on? Welcome to Kudzu Sports. We're live this week, Sunday night. It's got a lot to unpack from Friday night and last week in general. Softball went crazy last week with how many games they had in a short period of time. Then football on Friday, then this week, and then flag football started last week. Flag football cranks up big time this week. Football has a huge road game, and then softball has got postseason coming up. Although I'm waiting to hear some details from that from Coach Jenkins. But for the most part, over the last week, softball had games Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They had a doubleheader on Tuesday. They won all 5 games in 4 days. Pretty much just killing it. Finished the season with only 2 losses. Great year for Coach Jenkins, but he knows the second season, the real season, starts in the postseason where Harris County's made it to the Elite Eight in Columbus the last 2 years. Coach Jenkins made it there with another team, and he's looking to try to finish off this year with the county as he did with his other team. Football came up short on a tough one against Starr's Mill, who offense is incredible. It's kind of like they're undefeated, and you kind of saw why on Friday night. Harris County really shot themselves in the foot. A couple huge turnovers, 3 turnovers that were just the absolute worst time to do it, as if there's ever a good time to do a turnover. But for the county, just back-breaking moments that just really deflated the crowd and, had to deject the team some, but still a lot to play for football. And then flag started last week, 2 shutout wins over Heritage and Central Carroll. Tomorrow, flag football goes across the river to play at Central against Brubaker Tech, who's 7-0 out of Montgomery. Then they play Central, who's 8-0. And by the way, Central is the number 1 team in the country, according to USA Today. So the nation's number 1 team is where the county will be at tomorrow night in flag football. So we'll kind of look ahead to that some. Looking back on last week's flag football game, kind of sloppy on the second game with Central Carroll. Low scoring at halftime. Harris County, we did kind of spread it out, make it look a lot better than what it was. To be honest, a lot of sloppiness. But that's the first game of the year. You get that no matter how talented you are. You're going to have some sloppiness. But first 2 games had a tri match, so you had 2 in one day. Really got to clean it up if you're going to get the nation's number 1 team. And the Brubaker Tech team out of Montgomery, 7-0. They're expected to be really good. So a tough matchup for us tomorrow night. And then Tuesday with Brookstone. So it's a lot of games going on. We mentioned softball. They're getting ready, waiting on details from Coach Jenkins. We'll post that on the Kudzu page. Then football at Central Carroll this week. Central Carroll's got 2 losses. 1 to Starr's Mill, who we just seen how good they were. The other loss was Oxford over in Oxford, Alabama. So that's a great team. And that's the only 2 regular season losses the last 2 years for Central Carroll. They're a tough team. Nice new updated stadium that they have. It's going to be a tough challenge for Harris County, but it's almost if you're going to host the playoff game for the county, you got to have this one. You can't have, anything. I mean, it comes if you want to host the playoff game, one of the top 2 seeds, Starr's Mills about got that one locked up. I really don't see nobody else in the region beating them. It's going to be tough when you look at, they've already played Central Carroll. They beat Central Carroll 35-38 a week before last. So, you see them tying it up. That battle for second place, Jonesboro will be right there with the county. They have the tiebreaker over us. We got the tiebreaker over Northside. Northside's got 3 tough games left ahead of them, and they're tied with us. There's only 4 teams getting in. It's a 5-team race right here to the finish in Region 3 of 4A. And it is one of the tougher regions in the state. I think that benefits even the 3 and the 4 seed will still fare well in the playoffs just based on our 3 and 4 seed is going to be really, really good football team. But, if Harris County wins this weekend, you really got to pull for the other team next week playing Jonesboro, Northside playing Jonesboro. So, I mean, it's, even for that 3 seed, you're going to need that win next week. Harris County wraps up a week earlier than everybody, so we do have the luxury that last week of kind of sitting at home and watching how it all plays out. Like we said, Northside's got Starr's Mills this week, then Jonesboro, then Central Carroll. That really benefits the county knowing that if we're tied with them, we jump in. Jonesboro, if we're tied with them, they get over us. So Harris County is really looking good for that 3 or 4. Um, Even with a loss with Central Carroll, you still like your chances over a winless Monday's Mill to wrap the season. You never want to expect a loss on a Friday night. We don't expect this week. I expect County to compete with Central Carroll because we were right in it with Starr's Mills. Going back to that game, we hit some plays early in that game. The turnover right before halftime, and then we turn it right back over. Twice in the red zone, we turn it over. You can't do that and beat a good team. That's what separates. That's what costs you them games. That's what separates great from good. Sometimes, against Jonesboro, Harris County played a good game. If they played a great game, they wouldn't have turned it over the 2 times to start the game. The first 2 possessions. You think about the first 2 possessions of the game dictated that entire game, and even with the penalties late, penalties in the third quarter going in, some of that stuff. But it's the turnovers early on that just shot them in the foot, much like the Stars Mills game. But I think you ask that coach at Stars Mills, he'll tell you the same thing. That county team is good. They don't, they were at halftime. They were only up 7-0 on us. Could have easily been 7-7. So I mean, then we came out in that third quarter, went right downfield, and ended up with a turnover, but we drove it down the field. So we had chances in that game. I think Stars Mills tell you the same thing. That score was a lot closer than 28-7. It felt a lot closer. I think they know that County put up a good fight. The boys didn't quit. They kept going. Got a little wore down. But how many teams run a wing tee option, then flip it over, run spread formation, RPO stuff in the same drive? I mean, they just switch out 2 or 3 personnel and just bam, 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 and it was just insane to see that offense run so smoothly. Logan Inagawa, the quarterback, was just phenomenal at both. At RPO, his reads were great, and then at that option, his reads were great on that too. But looking ahead to start Central Carroll, they like to run the ball. You can expect some running from them. Harris County likes to run, so this game will go quick. It's one of them you're not going to get many possessions either side, so you got to take advantage of it. When you play that kind of game, like your Harris County, 3 turnovers, 2 turnovers kill you because that's you play possession by possession and you don't get that many of them. But beating Central Carroll would just be such a big deal as getting now you got a tiebreaker over those. If Jonesboro lose a couple games, which they got some losable games in there, and you're tied with Northside for that 2 spot, you get it, and when you host the playoff game, and that'd be phenomenal in this region to host the playoff game. But like I said, even if we end up with the 3, I like the county's chances in the playoffs against anybody, even a 1 seed out of another region, because our region is stacked, and we've seen how good we stacked up against a good team. And Stars Mills, perennial state, power, they're going to attempt to win the state championship. I think they got a good shot at it this year. Judging, the size they got, the offensive line, they got a nice fullback. They got Ladary, what was his name? Delary, that wide receiver. He even got some runs in there. But you knew going into the game, looking at the stats, this is going to be the guy that could beat you. And a couple of times he got behind our defense and did beat us. So, you look at that and you think that team's pretty special. You can look at the Jefferson team last year in the playoffs with Sammy Brown, and you're like, well, they got Sammy Brown. Then you take Sammy Brown off that team. And that's how Inagawa is for Stars Mills. That dude's special. I think they got a good thing going up in Fayetteville. And, hey, Lord knows we'd love to see them again in the playoffs. That meant we made it really far if we get to see another team from your region in the playoffs. But for football, got to come out to Central Carroll. We need a big, congregation of black and gold in those stands. It looks kind of silly when these teams come up to play. Griffin came up there. I think they had 3 people in the stands. We need to go at the Carrollton. I know we packed out in the rain before. At Jonesboro they packed out. So let's go pack out Central Carroll. I told y'all they got a big, nice new stadium. It's fancy. It's got the light show. They got all kind of stuff. So if you come up there, you're not going to some rinky-dink, podunk high school stadium like like some of these places you might go to. This is a legit, kind of like when we went to Villa Rica a few years ago. That stadium was phenomenal, and we expect that from Central Carroll. They've already reached out, being just gracious hosts, just showing where they're at. They made it to the deep in the playoff run last year. They went 12-0 in the regular season, so it's going to be tough. Flip over to flag football. We mentioned Central Phoenix City tomorrow night. Look, they play at, we believe at 6 and 7 o'clock. We play Brewbaker Tech at 6. Around 7, we'll start the Central game. It's going to be huge. I think this Harris County, we got a great core that's been there a while. The core were freshmen when we went to the championship in Atlanta for state championship a couple years ago, lost to Southeast Bullock. But these girls know they're special. They know they got a good team. They know what the end goal is. We talked to Coach Moss multiple times on here, and he said the same thing on the coaches show. He said on multiple interviews, this schedule is made for Harris County to get into the GHSA playoffs in December and know what they got. Playing a little weaker teams throughout the season, then you get in the playoffs and you start playing some big dogs. You notice it. You feel the difference. Won't be none of that for Harris County when you go to Central, to Pacelli, to Smith Station. You got Columbus High, which all four of those teams are pretty much, just parental powers in flag football over the last 4 or 5 years, as long as flag football. But the one team that's thrown in with those when you talk to them would be Harris County, Coach Moss's Harris County team. So for Harris County, said we're going to go one by one, play each of these teams. And, the non region games, it's not even in the same state. You lose some of these games, but you see how you stack up with great talent. You play against great talent. And hey, if you go up there and you knock off one of these big time teams, especially the number one team in the nation, people start opening their eyes looking at you. And that's what Harris County's going to be looking for tomorrow night when they go to Central. Look, if you ain't ever gone to a flag football game, this would be the one to go to if you want to go to a road game. Right over the river, where Garrett Stadium is on Somerville Road. Right over there. And hey, get that black and gold in that stadium and show these girls some love and support and let them know you're pulling for them to see if they could pull it off and, beat two really good teams. Like I said, Brubaker Tech 7-0. Out of Montgomery, they got some athletes down there. They got great football around there. So, these girls are going to be no different. And if they're 7-0, they got to be good. Central 8-0. So come check them out. Like I said, big week, huge week for Harris County athletics with everything on, especially the three sports we mentioned on tonight's show. Is man, and then last weekend I can't get off here without saying congratulations to all the coaches with the cheerleading squad and the girls at cheerleading. Hey, they got two competitions. They've won both of them. JV and varsity won at Ola High School this weekend. Phenomenal job. Coach Steele, Coach Wright, phenomenal job with the varsity team. And the JV's coming in there and getting them a win in the same term. It just shows how dominant Harris County is now at cheer and the future. And it's only the second year they're back in the cheer. So they're really making a good name for themselves this year. Good luck the rest of the way, Coach Steele. We're going to be pulling for all y'all. So everything's on, everything's clicking at Harris County right now. We got a lot of sports going on. And winter sports is right around the corner. We talked to Coach Moore last week with wrestling. It's coming up quick. Basketball team, they're coming up quick. It's a bunch of sports. Soccer in the spring and baseball in the spring. They're going to be here before you know it. When these kids get done with the sport they're currently doing, this right into their spring sport or winter sport for some of these kids. So it's just a great time to be around the county. They love the sport. These Friday night crowds have been phenomenal at home. I'm not going to lie. The atmosphere is great. The noise is great. We hear it calling the game, broadcasting the game. The crowd mics are picking up just great. I mean, you listen to the games on the replay and you can hear how loud the crowd is. That's great. I mean, that's some high school stadium stuff you don't get at a lot of these high school fields around here. So the crowds have been phenomenal. But how about the still shots? I look at the shots. Sam Harkins, shots by Harkins on Instagram. You look at his shots. Man, you see a packed house, crowds incredible. Student section is packed in elbow to elbow. They've done a great job this year, really being loud on third downs. They moved the student section down a little bit, put them right in front of the band, and I think that's kind of been a good move. It's been super loud. They've been phenomenal. So we just like to bring some of that over to these other sports and the excitement of these other sports. And I know, trust me, I know more than anything. Nothing excites the crowd and a fan base more than winning. But hey, Harris County doing a hell of a lot of winning lately in a lot of we're gonna pump them sports up. We're gonna try to pack out the stadium and some other sports. It'd be great having the soccer games, the flag football games. We know softball's gonna have a packed house in the playoffs. I expect what we had for the Northside game early in in August, late August. I expect that kind of crowd for these playoff games. I think Coach Jenkins said around 500 people at that game. At a softball game with that softball field, and we expect that this coming up week when we announce the playoff times and all that good stuff. It's going to be just packed out. I can't wait. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about their whole postseason, and of course, I'm excited about the flag football this season getting going tomorrow night. The Central game is going to be Central Phoenix City game is going to be huge. Friday night, the Central Carrollton game, the Lions, we're going up there. I'm excited. Georgia Alabama Sports Live will be at Central Carroll. We're going to be broadcasting that game. It'll be game 9 for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I've absolutely loved calling these games. That's 9 games we've done. We're going to do senior night Monday's meal. We're going to do the full season. It's been just a pleasure. I posted on my personal Facebook how cool it is calling these games because I know these kids. I know a lot of these kids. When baseball comes around, I'm gonna know a whole lot of those kids because I remember when they were in little league umpiring them. Then the softball kids, more in the future than now. Even though Riley Huckabee, Ivy McCormick, these girls umpired at Harris County Little League in the spring a lot. Riley was one of the top. Her and Ivy caught a lot of softball games umpiring, and they gave back to the community. They were also coaching another team over at the Little League. It's just how much they were giving into the community, giving back to the county, and it's great. But it lets you be. I'm happy for these kids, and it comes out in my voice when I'm calling these games. I mentioned Preston Jenkins. I've known Preston, his brother Caleb, and his sister Carla Grace for years, and they're all doing. Caleb with baseball coming up, he's gonna have a great season. Moving positions a little bit, but he's always been a great ball player. Carla Grace with the cheerleading, doing great. It's just fun seeing these kids that you've known since they're 9 years old, and they're doing great things, and I'm just so excited to see them. And it just makes me so proud to say, I remember I coached her when she was 10, 11 years old, and Ansley Weaver's playing on the softball team. I coached her in a 6U soccer, and it's just crazy to look at these girls when they're 6, and now you see them playing on the varsity high school level. But that's enough just kind of toting about how much this crap means to me with seeing these kids just do great. I love it. And it ain't crap in a bad way. It's just saying how much this stuff means to me and how much these kids, how much this county means to me. And I hope it comes out when I'm calling these games because I'm truly excited for these kids, and I'm truly excited for the county when we get them wins on Friday nights or a Tuesday night softball game or a Monday night volleyball match. I love seeing Harris County do good and these kids get some credit and get hyped up. But I know I'm running a little late. Richard and Thrift coming up on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I know Thrift's probably nipping at the bit right now, trying to tell me to hurry up, get off, so he can get on there. I know him and Richard are going to put on a good show and review everything that happened in the Georgia Alabama sports world community. Glenwood, we knock them all out. Glenwood, Smith Station, Muskogee County, Calvary, Brookstone, Pacelli game was a great game. I know they're going to talk about all that. And hey, if you want to know the county stuff, make sure you do like and follow Kudzu Sports. And we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, even though the TikTok's gone down with me moving to the broadcast booth. But we're on TikTok, Kudzu Sports HC. Everything else is at Kudzu Sports. And hey, give us a follow, leave comments. I love seeing comments. Like this video, where's my finger? Like this video right here. Like it on whatever platform you're watching. Main thing, like it on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live page, the main page that's shared. And then, leave us a comment. Tell us what year you graduated the county, what you think the score is going to be this weekend for the county, or just say, hey, you support Harris County. But that's all we got this week. I've run it to 19 minutes. I'll see y'all next Sunday after Harris County wins some postseason games, after flag football knocks off #1, and after Harris County travels up to Carrollton and knocks off Central Carroll. See y'all next Sunday. Go Tigers.